Because I was saying the same thing about 2 months ago, even when things looked better for Obama, which was that you could realistically, theoretically see the opposite of what played out in 2000, because popular vote is somewhat fluid. There are states right now, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this, and I hope I don't offend good progressive people living in those states. I live in Ohio, and a lot of people take pot shots at us, and parts of this state, frankly, deserve it. But there are states where right now, in terms of all infrastructure and education, whatever, it almost is, conspiratorial in my mind, has become so regressive that you can see Obama losing by like 50 points. Look at what he lost by in Oklahoma and some other places last time. And so, we're becoming so polarized. That's part of it. Part of it is who owns the media and other things that if there's no pushback from a big national advertising campaign like you've got in the swing states, for example, and no pushback from electoral visits that change the media narrative, I can just see this becoming something where you have massive sort of polarization. You've got you could have Mitt Romney going to pick up a massive sort of margin in certain places that just aren't being contested.
Well, that's what Marcos Malitzis on obviously on the Daily Cause, Daily Cause,
come on,
pulled
Sam.
the crosstabs from that Gallup poll, and Obama Romney margin in the East, Obama by 4. In the Midwest, Obama by 4. In the West, Obama by 6. In the South, Romney by 22 points.
Right.
Now, it makes the possibility of this scenario that you're mentioning here, this notion that we're going to have a popular vote electoral split. It puts it in play. I don't think it's actually going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but I think it's going to become, maybe not. In some ways it could become increasingly likely in the years to come if we keep on the current path. Although Texas is heading towards our direction,
right,
which is obviously the pretty big population center because of Hispanics and younger people going down there for opportunities in work and retirees and other things. So maybe not. I'm just saying I think it's possible. Certainly I think we're going to see things that you didn't used to see in the past. Well, you did. I shouldn't say that. You saw it in certain southern states. I think FDR was it 1932 won something like 95% of the vote in Mississippi. The issue here is like the South has always had this problem. And again, I no offense to our Southern progressive friends, but the South has had a lot of the features of an authoritarian state and a one-party state since the beginning of time. And that one-party state was the Democrats for a while. And now it's the Republicans. And there are certain southern states that are changing because of the same factors we discussed in Texas and are even obviously ahead of Texas in that Virginia, Florida, North Carolina. And I think eventually down the road, you're going to see Georgia and South Carolina head in that direction too. But there are other ones where people aren't necessarily moving to for those opportunities. Mississippi and Alabama come to mind. The border states, some of them, Arkansas and Kentucky, and some of those come to mind. And then some of the western states. And really, the only thing you have balancing out in some of those states that are giving Democrats votes at all is the African-American population. In Mississippi, 80% of the white vote goes to Republicans, sometimes more than that. So you have to sort of keep that in mind. And so when you go to a state like Oklahoma or you go to a state like Utah where there isn't a large African-American population, well, then what's going to happen? And so I think that split becomes more likely. I still think we haven't seen, we've only seen one day of poll numbers that have been able to record post-second debate where Obama won pretty big. You also have to remember that already some of those polls were cooling down based upon the fact that the bounce that Romney had gotten was cooling down. I don't think Rasmussen shows it tied. That should tell you something at 48-48. And I think outside of Gallup, every other national poll in the last 24 hours has shown Obama ahead by varying margins from like 1 point to 5 points. So, yeah, I'm not saying I think that's going to happen. I just brought up a few months ago that if it's going to happen, that's the most likely scenario, and that could happen. And it's just another reason why the electoral vote thing is crazy. And I don't think we should have it.
Let's talk about that. Let's just talk about it because I don't know that we'll have this conversation again about the electoral vote. But, let's just for a moment just go there. And the president wins the Electoral College, and I imagine he would win it somewhat handily. I mean, it wouldn't be, by a couple of electoral votes. It could be, by double-digit electoral votes, and still lose the popular vote. I guess that would be sort of tricky, but what do you think would happen to the electoral?
I think that likely could happen. I mean, I don't want to interrupt, but if you look at the current scenario right now, and I don't. Again, having worked at a few big polling firms and on presidential races and stuff. I mean, I do have a background in this. I'm no Nate Silver, not even close. It's why I moved more towards writing and away from the number stuff. But I do have a background, and I think I've got some understanding of this. And I will still point out the fact that there was only one person in 1996 when we sat and filled out our cute little electoral maps at Penn and Schoen who nailed every single state. That was me. I beat Penn and Schoen, and I'm going to brag about that on your show right now because I know what everybody listening to the show thinks.
Well, to be fair, Mark Penn probably had 14 other clients that he was servicing in
Colombia.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of dictators in the world, and
a lot of dictators and predatory companies, as well as military juntas and arms dealers that need help. So yeah, you do have to keep all that in mind. So what I've always said is you always have to look at a number of different polls, and you need to use common sense.
Right.
All right. If you see something showing, when I saw a poll showing Obama up, to give you an example that I don't just do this for Republicans, there was, I think, a poll up about 2 weeks ago that showed Obama up 15 in New Hampshire. Yeah, I didn't take that seriously.
Really? Why is that? I'm being facetious.
Why didn't I take?
No, I'm being facetious.
Okay.
No, okay.
I thought for a second, wow, you're that's why you're such a good actor, Sam. Because you had me there.
No, exactly.
You had me. It's stuff like that made you the manorexic you are today. But I digress. No. I mean, so you have to factor out all that stuff. And what it tells me is that everything I've said to you about Ohio, I think, is applicable to the greater Midwest, which is the combination of factors here: the assaults on unions that went on in Wisconsin, that went on in Ohio, that went on to a certain degree in Michigan. The auto bailout, the ads that have been shown here that particularly affect people based upon Bain and some of the stuff. Because remember, most of those worst case scenarios you've seen have been in Midwestern states, have been in Indiana and Missouri and places like that, where Bain has done its worst damage. Illinois right now with the whole Sensata story, and that seeps into local media too. Those stories in Illinois get out to states surrounding Illinois, some of which are swing states, and so I think that, all of that together has created this situation in the Midwest where the Midwest, even when Romney had that performance, just hasn't seemed to budge for the most part. Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, these, Minnesota, which used to be considered a swing state not too long ago, I mean, they've gotten, the only place they've made up any ground from where they were a few years ago is Wisconsin, and I think that's because the Scott Walker thing, when they won that race, made people pretty excited there, and made people, and got some of the conservatives excited and turned them out. And then I think on top of that, picking Paul Ryan just because of name recognition,
right,
tends to add a few points.
We should also say that Romney, I don't think has been in Wisconsin in almost 2 months.
That's true.
And there's nothing that helps Romney's image more than scarcity.
That's
as far
a
as I
great
can
point. If he's not being seen, absence certainly makes the heart grow fonder when it comes to Romney. So I think those are all important points, which is to say, the lead that he seems to have grown, it seems to grow in red states. He maybe has even gotten closer in blue states that aren't being contested, like New York and Massachusetts. So maybe he's not down 30 points now. He's only down 25.
Right.
And on top of that, in a few swing states where these ads haven't worked as well, where these union battles haven't gone on in such a public way. So in North Carolina, obviously, it seems like he's pulled ahead more. It seems like he's gained ground in Virginia, where Obama was way up, and now maybe he's only up by a little bit. He's gained ground in Florida, where it seems to either be even money, or at this point I might give Florida, sadly, to Mitt Romney. And a few of the western states, it seems that Colorado has gotten closer. But in this core Midwestern states, he hasn't seemed to gain anything. And again, and also in New Hampshire. And at the end of the road, it's pretty simple. If he cannot get New Hampshire, he cannot get Ohio, he cannot get Wisconsin, he cannot get Iowa and Nevada because of the Hispanic population and all the good work you did at giving them your money at the casinos, which has bolstered the economy there.
Yes.
If you add seriously, in Nevada too, when you add all that up, there's just not a path to victory. I don't care what happens in the popular vote. I mean,
all right. So let's contemplate this for a moment. Obama wins the Electoral College, not handily. I mean, or solidly. Let's say
around 300 electoral votes is what I'm looking at. 290 to 300 is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we're talking a significant double-digit lead, but loses the popular vote by half a percentage or a percentage.
Yes. Which I think could happen.
It could happen. I mean, I think it's unlikely, but it could happen. What happens then? I mean, what
happens then, Sam, is if you have, like, just for fun, an old sore loserman sign from 2000,
right?
Get that out and start marching around in Republican faces, because they'll try to take the election away.
I don't think there's going to be much difference. Yes, I mean, I don't think there's going to be much difference in the behavior, legislatively speaking, from the Republicans, but the level of agitation will be sort of full on Tea Party. Obamacare is taking our guns away from us, or something. And
right.
Is there a chance?
I think you'll also see people on TV who are supposed to be part of the mainstream, quote unquote. So somebody comes to mind immediately, and I feel sad saying this because, you and I were together. Oh no, you weren't there. I think you were playing the tables. But James Carville gave a great speech at that conference we were at.
Uh-huh.
But I can see someone like Mary Matlin is a perfect example. People like that going on in the news and saying that electors should flip their votes. And considering none of these guys, it doesn't really matter because they don't remember anything that happened like as recently as 6 months ago, if it hurts their case. Hell, Mitt Romney doesn't remember what he said yesterday. They're not going to, everything that they said in 2000, every single argument they used, they will now use the opposite. They will lobby electors. They'll try to go to state legislatures and see if they can get them to pass resolutions trying to get to pressure electors to change their votes. Believe me, they'll do it.
Interesting.
I think they'll do it here, where they've got, in Ohio, where they've got they control the state legislature. They'll do it in Wisconsin, where they do, and a number of other states like that, especially the ones where the vote was the closest.
Now they won't get there. They won't be able to do that. I don't think that'll be possible. But there will certainly.
I don't think it'll happen. But think about people like you and me who aren't just and hopefully, and not hopefully, definitively, I would say virtually every single person who listens to your show who care about this country. People like you and me who think it's an embarrassment, for example, to the country that we care about, besides the individual stories of people hurting. To me, one of the biggest things that always got me about not having universal health care, what I'd argue with conservatives is, do you understand what this makes us look like to the world, and don't you care? And the way these guys act affects us. It affects how foreign countries behave towards us. It affects how seriously people take us. It affects our currency. It affects our credit rating. It affects a lot of things. And if these guys try to gin up a crisis, it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2000 thing was even more despicable. I mean, and even rather than Mary Matlin and Eric Erickson getting on CNN and saying we need to, this is a coup or whatever. I mean, despite I'm not so worried about that. My question is there then a genuine movement, almost by accident on the right, to get rid of the Electoral College, because a pure national vote in the main will be great for those of us on the left, right? Because it means all of a sudden that your urban centers become more in play, that the very populous states of California and New York become more in play, and it completely changes our politics.
Oh, I mean, no, I guess you're right in that case. I mean, look, if it leads to us getting rid of the Electoral College, as somebody who believes in good government, I don't want the Electoral College. I've wanted to get rid of it for a long time, and not just because of what happened in 2000. Obviously, it's my problem is with the people that will try to change the rules right now.
Right,
of course. They've campaigned a certain way in certain states and done other things, and they've done that specifically because they've been playing by the rules that exist. If it means that we don't have some sort of a crisis where we have a week or 2 weeks or however many weeks where these guys are lobbying electors, running paid advertisements by the Koch brothers, right, calling Obama an illegitimate president.
They'll definitely do. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what would happen there. Right?
That's embarrassing. And again, it's not just embarrassing. It's not about, well, I feel embarrassed. It hurts us. It emboldens our enemies. And I'm sorry if that sounds like George W. Bush, but I don't say that about democratic criticism. I say that about, which should exist in a democracy. We should question our leaders. We should question their policies. But when you question the legitimacy of our system and you attack our system, and I think that is a dangerous sign to send to a lot of places. And again, it's not just about terrorism or whatever. It's about all sorts of things. It's about all sorts of international relations. It's about how it affects. I mean, these are things that people on the right never seem to understand when they do whatever it takes to win. When they shut down the government with Bill Clinton and they impeach him. But while he was paying attention to what was going on with Monica Lewinsky, the Al Qaeda guys were plotting 2001.
Right.
While you're doing that, there are all sorts of government of international potential crisis points. Pakistan and India that have nukes pointed at each other, China and Taiwan, the Middle East, and things like that you're not paying attention to, and people that are looking at you less legitimately as a president. And I just think that is harmful, and so that is kind of my concern here, and.
I would like to. I hope this goes without saying on some level, but I'm sitting in a room with two guys who are like I don't know, 5 or 10 or 6 when George Bush became president, but no, maybe a little bit older. But Al Gore won the popular vote by 500,000 votes. Al Gore won the popular vote by 500,000 votes, and lost the Electoral College basically by, I guess, 1 vote on the Supreme Court. And so, there's precedent for something like this to happen. It'll be interesting.